Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of Season Ticket Holders. I'm your host, Dane Lillingston, and I have a brand new guest with us today. He is a stand-up comedian, filmmaker, a producer for SEN, host of film podcast The Backlot, and a very happy Cronulla Sharks man, Mitch Garling. Welcome to the show, mate. How are you?
Very well, Dane. Very well, man. Thanks for having me. Lovely intro. Appreciate that. Yes, thank you for highlighting just how nice things are going right now for the Cronulla Sharks. I'm sure it will end at some point, based on just how things go. But mate, good to be with you. Good to be with you.
I'm sure there's a finals implosion just around the corner. Mitch, firstly though, when I get new guests on the show, I just want you to tell us a little bit about who you are, where you're from, and why you love the great game of rugby league.
Yeah, I'm a Sydney boy, originally from the Central Coast of New South Wales, but Sydney boy now, stand-up comedian, filmmaker, producer on The Run Home. So with Joel Kane and Brian Fletcher, we have a show on Fox League, Monday to Wednesday, which is pretty good. Like I don't know how to sell it. It's great fun. Fletch is Fletch. He's like one of the best in the biz, and Joel's a beast, and we work with Scope a lot as well. But yeah, there's how did I get into footy, mate? Just Central Coast is a bit of a football hub or rugby league hub, I guess. So you kind of can't not get involved. Unfortunately, our only foray has been the Northern Eagles into having an actual team. But that did kind of, I guess, my love for my mum went for the North Sydney Bears, my dad went for Manly. So in some sort of weird synergy, they got married and came together, and so did their teams. And we're on the Central Coast where I grew up. So
Beautiful.
It seemed only natural, and then they folded, and then I felt bad for my mum who had no team anymore. So I didn't follow Manly to rub it into her. So I actually followed Brett Camorley from the Northern Eagles to Cronulla Sharks, and that's how we get to the Sharks love. I have told Noddy that story, and he did not care.
What was his reaction?
He just went like, "Nah, that's cool, mate."
Lovely.
No rabbit.
Mate, you I did my research, as I do with all my guests, a 2015-16 New South Wales Raw State finalist. I don't want to brag. We almost crossed over. I was a 2014-15 Queensland State finalist. So,
God damn.
There you go. How close was that? I didn't follow through with it, mate. I think I retired after that 2015 appearance, but I'm very happy to see you went with it. How's that all going?
Yeah, it's going well, man. It's going well. Just had Newcastle Comedy Fest over the weekend, which was really good. Had a bunch of shows up there. Yeah, it's good. It's it keeps you on your toes, and it's kind of just a way to let out the things in life that you probably can't let out, one-on-one or to my wife or to people at work. So I can use that as I don't want to say therapy because it sounds like it's a downer, but like, just the things I think are funny or the things I think are weird. It's like, I'm going to throw it out to these people and see if they agree. And most of the time, thankfully, they do. So that's quite nice.
That's good to hear, mate.
What stopped you from continuing? Did it not catch you, or it was like a bucket listy sort of, I'd love to do it, and then you just do it and it's done?
Mate, I will tell you a little bit into my comedy career. I actually bombed for my first ever time. Didn't necessarily bomb. I had a mind blank on stage during the 2015 state final. I literally just lost my train of thought. Hadn't happened to me. I've been doing little gigs, free gigs at pubs. I'd done it the year before. Never had a single issue on stage. Never even really bombed, really. But I just had a mind blank. That was it. The week later, I went to the Stones Corner Hotel in Brisbane. Slayed it. Killed it. And that week, I was also moving to Warwick to start my regional journalism career. And that was that. Sliding doors moment, mate.
Mate, there's no booming comedy scene in Warwick at all?
Not in Warwick, not in Harvey Bay. I went to Airlie Beach, and then I ended up in Cairns.
Damn.
I did do a couple little shows in Cairns, but that was...
Cairns had a good run for a while there, didn't they?
They did. I had a weekly one at the venue near the casino there, so I did one or two there, but by then I was sports reporter through and through and just getting too busy. But glad to see you stuck with it, mate. That is awesome.
Yeah.
And talking about Queensland, New South Wales, I do want to segue into if you're watching the show right now, you know I'm a very proud Queenslander. You can see it behind me. I am wearing a New South Wales Blues jersey, and that is because Gerard, our sponsor, National Freight Management, who specialise in everything from crates to pallets nationwide. You can find more at nationalfreightmanagement.com.au. I did lose the State of Origin Series bet, Mitch. Unfortunately, it's disgusting. I've never
Oh,
worn this
man.
jersey in my life. You must be loving it. New South Wales Series win. You can't even believe it, right? You guys had no faith.
Mate, I'm like, yeah, I don't want to say no faith, but like you've always got that 2024 game 3 in the back of your head and you go, maybe. And then you don't want to be too confident
Because
because
you've always got
it's
2006 in your head as well, too, right?
exactly. Shout out to, oh no, that wasn't Noddy. Noddy was later, 2008, that intercept, I think it was. Yeah, don't even start me.
We can bring it up. It's fine.
That's no. Well, I mean, of course you would bring it up. It's exactly what you need right now.
That's true.
But yeah, man, I don't know, man. Like it was one of those things where we have this stupid blind hope, faith down here, and I'm like, you know, that whole thing around like you guys just get Origin, whatever. But we have this stupid thing where we go, this is it. This is the start of our dynasty. This is what we're going on our mad run, and we've got generational talent. And then it just doesn't happen. And you're like, okay, don't worry about it. Next year it is.
Maybe next year.
Okay, there. And like, so you do, yeah, like you kind of have this stupid, like, I mean, even going to game 1 this year, like I was working at game 1, and the whole drive out there, I was like, it's Origin Day. I'm so pumped. This is awesome. I love Origin. How good's Origin? New South Wales is the best. Blah blah blah. And then by 20 minutes in, it's like I want to get the train home. I want to leave. This is horrible. I can't believe I had so much confidence in this. And then obviously we
what
know
an
what
ending.
happened. What an ending. And I was so thankful to be there. Yeah, man, I don't know. Like there was a lot of sort of chatter around game 3 and decisions that were made. Which we could discuss till the cows come home. I'd love to say I don't think Jack Bostock touched that ball, but he touched that ball. Like,
there you go. We're here for a fellow. God, I'm wearing the jersey. I'm turning crazy, mate. No.
No. You
We're not
said it.
getting
You said
into
it.
this.
No. It's all good. You said
no,
it.
I
Good to
can
have you,
edit.
man.
Luckily for this, Mitch, I am the host, editor, and creator of Season Ticket Holder, so I will remove that. No, and what I wanted to just wrap with then, unbelievable series. I mean, Laurie Daly, good for him, and we have discussed that. Bostock definitely did touch it, but I wanted to say this jersey will be given away courtesy of National Freight Management. We'll be running a competition for the next week and a half. I'll put all the details online. It will be through Gleam, so if you follow Spotify, Apple, follow the social media accounts, you'll get some entries into that one. It is a large. I'm donning it right now, and I will never, ever wear this again. Good on you, Gerard. Congratulations again to New South Wales. Mitch, you're a Sharkies man. Let's get into the Sharkies.
Yes.
Now, they are on fire at the moment. We just saw it on Sunday. 48 points they put on a struggling Manly side. It was also their old boys' day. The poor Sea Eagles, just to rub it all in for you boys. You're now 4th, second best attack in the league. I had a look before, scored just 3 points less than the Panthers. So that's how good you guys are going. Plus 161 in points differential. I have to ask you, though, you're a Sharkies there, but do you feel like you're going under the radar a bit? You're stuck out there in Cronulla. Craig Fitzgibbon's a very humble sort of guy. Not too many like flashy superstars. Nico Hines doesn't like to be in the headlines as much as people like to put him in there. But how do you think you guys are traveling? Because it feels to me a little bit looking outside in. You are traveling under the radar a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. I think there's been a couple of games that have sort of removed us from under the radar. Like obviously the Dolphins one was pretty clinical, and then yesterday was quite good as well. We've been thereabouts. Like it's 2 years in a row that we've made the prelim. We just need to take that next step. And, you know, there was kind of that hope of like Aden Fanua-Blake coming in. Does he help us take that next step? It hasn't fully clicked yet. There's been 100%, there's been amazing moments, but it hasn't clicked sort of week to week. I think possibly our biggest thing is the depth. We do have a lot of depth across our squad. Like even when people are, you know, Sione Katoa couldn't get in for 4 or 5 weeks or however long it was. Stone Street killing it. You got Maweni Hiroti, who's a good backup as well. But yeah, man, under the radar. I think there's been a few games that have taken us out of under the radar, and I don't know. It's that whole dare to dream thing with similar to the Blues, right? Where you go like, maybe. And then like last year we had a very similar feeling to that 2016 feeling where it was like just like we're just sneaking in like 2016 obviously we went on a mad run, but no one really, I don't think anyone really thought we were going to go all the way.
Mm.
And then yeah, that's what last year felt to me. So hopefully we're sort of taking that next step this year. But it is a good time, and Nico Hines is playing some of his best stuff. Tricky Trindle might be like you talk. Will Kennedy is one of the most underrated people in the competition, but I think Tricky Trindle might be one of the most underrated as well. Yeah, doing amazing things.
I was going to say about that halves combination, I'd have to say, and it doesn't really matter what numbers they're wearing on the back, the way they combine at the moment. They have to be just about the form halves pairing in the competition right now. On their day, their attack is a thing of beauty when it's all clicking. We saw it on Sunday. You mentioned the Dolphins game too. 66-0. They've caught
Yeah,
on flat trap bullies, but you won 8 of the last 9. I guess people just expect Craig Fitzgibbon's teams to be in that top 4 situation. Do you think this is the team that can finally break that duck and go all the way now, mate?
I really hope so because I am a little bit worried about our sort of retention for next year. And term like we're losing a lot of experience next year, and we haven't. I think at this point we've only signed Owen Trout from the Super League, who
Superstar.
like, so yeah, exactly. And I saw your face light up there when I said Owen Trout. You were absolutely over the moon for me.
Looks like a fish.
That's what you were thinking about, of course. But yeah, like sure, like I'm sure he's a great player, but that's the only person we've really signed at this point. We've lost was it McInnes, Talakai, Ramian, Sione Katoa, and I feel like there's another one that I'm missing, but I can't think off the top of my head. But that's a lot of people,
Fair
like a
whack.
lot of games. So I'm hoping this is naturally. I'm hoping this is the year, but I think this is the team definitely. Nico has his, people are always going to talk down Nico no matter what. Like even when he's killing it, like that 66-0 game produced one of the best games I think I've ever seen him play. And then there was like 3 or 4 videos that week that was like, should Nico Hines move to lock? And it's like, just let him play. Like he just literally killed. And yeah, he's a bigger body. He might suit lock, but what he just did on the weekend, like let's just stop riding him for a second and let him just be. I don't know. Let him play.
It feels like he has probably taken that maybe even just maturity level, right? Like he's had to deal with that stuff early. It's like his origin career got fumbled for New South
Hmm.
Wales.
Yep.
Then he copped it a lot for those next few years. He got thrust into the spotlight, being one of the faces of the NRL and rugby league in Australia. Do you think maybe now he's sort of he's got all that behind him? I've seen the way he deals with the media now. He was
Hmm.
super friendly. He sort of puts it a little bit more at an arm's length than what he used to. And that's because, like I said, people just talk a lot of crap about him,
Yeah.
always seeming to be unsettled, but he doesn't seem to be unsettled himself. Feels like he's just shrugged that off, and we're seeing maybe a more mature Nico Hines this year.
Yeah, absolutely. And like obviously I guess he had the well documented stuff around like family and the dramas with the family, and then, like he was very vocal about mental health stuff. And again, like it's all the mental health stuff is positive to bring light to that. But again, it's putting him in the spotlight and it's drawing attention to him, and then it just makes the shitty people sort of then that weekend pile on with the social media and the comments and the this and that, and it just rolls. So I think he's in a long-term relationship now, getting married, I believe, and just seems to be sort of in the right headspace. Whether the family stuff's in the background, and he's just focusing on footy. That's wonderful. Um, yeah, hopefully. I mean, I think that maybe he doesn't take it to heart as much, like
Mm.
because you know, he's he has led or been one of the leaders of the Sharks who have gone to 2 prelims in a row. That's more than what other people have been doing. And he's leading the team very well this year with Trindle. He's getting these 66-0 wins. He's knocking off these bigger teams like Dolphins. Before that 66-0 was it 8 or 9 in a row. Everyone was going, these are the Smokies for the Prem. And
They
then we
were.
knock them off 66-0
Can't win it
and
now.
can't win it now. Sorry, guys. That's just the law. That's just the law. I'd
It's
love you to
NRL
be
law.
able to. I would love, out of all the teams, to be honest, like apart from my own team, if you look at the top sort of 5 or 6, it's like, I actually would like the Dolphins to win. That's a cool story. But
Hard team not to like.
unfortunately, you can't do it now because of the law. But yeah, I don't know what my train of thought was there, but
Nico Hines, he
yes,
could
yes,
do
he
it.
has.
Sure,
He
man.
has.
He could take them
He
all the
has.
way.
He has, man. He definitely has, and like so many of them have. Like Blake Brayley's gone to another level, and Trindle's gone to another level. Kennedy's gone to another level. Like Kennedy was always super consistent, and then like there's all this chat of like, oh, move Nico to 1 and bring in a big, bigger in another half, and it's like, what's Kennedy done wrong? Like, he doesn't do media much, I don't think. So I don't think he's like front and center of people's minds. He just kind of shows up game day and everyone goes, oh yeah, Will Kennedy. Yeah, cool.
You're right.
And he
He cops
just
it.
plays. But yeah, I think they're all maturing, to be honest.
And the other one I want to shout out was, of course, the coach, friend of the show, Craig Fitzgibbon. He has been on season ticket holders before. He's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. Do you know that, Mitch?
I did know that.
Yeah, the gun.
Working with Fletch, I know a lot of things about Fitzy.
Oh, there you go.
But yeah, good guy, and doing great things, man. And just kind of coming from that Trent Robertson stable of assistant coaches. I think it's like fantastic. Obviously, what he's doing with Cronulla, but yeah, it just seems to be a real genuine sort of person as well. Some of the not some of the coaches, but like you see some coaches over the years where you're like, this is a media front, but that seems to be who Fitzy is, if that makes sense.
100%, mate. Just from my dealings with Fox Sports and going to presses every week with the coaches, he is hands down, I think, just the nicest guy in rugby league, just about, man. Easy to deal with. I think what you see is what you get. And I could see how players would definitely want to play for a guy like that. So you're telling me, Mitch, premiership contenders 2026 Sharks, they're there. Penrith
They're
grand
there.
final.
Oh, well, look, I'd hope I don't want to meet Penrith in the grand final.
Could you beat? Actually, the question is, do you reckon you could beat Penrith in the finals? Because I feel like that would be the big hump for you guys. I know the record.
Yeah.
I think I brought it up with Fitzy before, and he was a bit defensive about it. But as most teams do, they do sort of struggle that top echelon. And that's supposed been the criticism of Cronulla. They flat track bullies. They can beat all these teams below them, but when it just comes to those top 2, top 3, that's where it just seems to fall apart.
Yeah, well, I mean, even sort of, I think maybe the game that we have lost recently was Roosters, who are that sort of top echelon team. Obviously, we knocked off Dolphins. I can't remember the last time we played the Warriors, but yeah, Panthers always seem to kind of have the wood over us, unfortunately. And yeah, it was it year before was the Panthers in the prelim where they just kind of like we genuinely looked, and this is crazy that this is the way we're talking, but we looked good for the first sort of 10, 15 minutes, and then you have that stupid hope where you go, okay, all right, we might sneak this. Like, we could stay with them here, and then they just find their next gear, and you go, oh no, there it is. Okay, it's gone. Like, it's done. And kind of Melbourne did the sort of same thing to us last year, I think it was, in the prelim for Melbourne. Yeah, I think we are contenders. Does it scare me to say that? Yes, it does. Because now we'll go ahead and lose the last 5 or 6 rounds, however long it is, and then we'll barely scrape in. But yes, in summary, I think we are.
Clip it up. They're contenders in 2026. I can't see them dropping out of the top 4, mate. I think that top 4 is pretty settled. I do want to now flip completely from your team to my team. Very sadly, the Broncos title defense looks to be over, but I do have some good news, Mitch. I spoke to my good friend ChatGPT this morning. It is possible. It is possible. Mathematically, it's just near impossible. They have to win all 6 games, all the remaining 6 games, and they have to hope that the teams above them will struggle. The good news is a few of those teams are starting to struggle, in the likes of the Knights and Sea Eagles, but then you've got the Cowboys and Bulldogs. So I think their premiership title defense is pretty much well and truly over. I don't know, though. My Broncos heart says maybe we could still do it. You never know, right? But you're going to tell me they're dead, right?
I don't think it's ever a great thing when we're talking mathematical equations.
6 in a row, Mitch. It does it all the time.
But in saying that, like, you guys went on a run last year. You guys were beaten by the Raiders and then somehow won that game. Like things happen, man. Like the second half against Panthers, like Panthers were like it's just even the grand final. Like I don't know. Don't write them off. There is so much quality across the park, but mathematically, like I think Storm are more likely to make a run. Also, who would have thought that we would see both grand finalists probably missing the 8 in Storm and Bronx?
That is crazy. I mean, the Broncos are already about to be the first team since the Tigers 2005 to 2006
Yep.
to not make it. And you're right, Melbourne struggling, just lost Harry Grant for a month. They are going to
Yeah.
really struggle to try and do it. But on the Broncos too, I just wanted to say, just their attack. That's probably the most shocking thing. You said all those second half comebacks last year.
Yeah.
They've now only scored 339 points. The Tigers have scored more points than the Broncos. I think that really puts things into perspective. I did also see that near the bottom of the ladder, they've conceded they're the worst team for meters made this year, 1,400 less
Wow.
than the next best. But that's pretty shocking, right? The way they've fallen apart this year.
Yeah, I'd say so. And I mean, obviously, it was a biblical injury, like cloud that not cloud, like there was what was it, 14
It was,
out at one point?
I think it was up to 13, 14, and it
Yeah.
was getting pretty ridiculous.
And then you're just getting like it's uh it's coming back and it's like, oh, Dean Mariner almost lost his leg. And you're like, okay, all right. Well, Corey Jensen's got blood clots, and you're like,
Out of nowhere. Yeah.
we've jumped the shark with injuries now. Like we've gone, wait, this is just it's moving into unbelievable. It's not just like, oh, there's a calf here, a hamstring there. It's like, oh, so and so almost lost his leg, and it's like, okay, like this season is cursed. This season is
That's
done.
a good point. And I think everyone just assumed now that you've got Reece Walsh, you've got Payne Haas and Paddy Carrigan playing again, it was just going to click and they were going to win everything. But obviously,
Yeah.
they've lost too many games already. They lost to the Titans and Dragons mid-season when they really should have won those games.
Yeah.
And now they've just made the jump too high to climb. But the defense isn't helping, mate. The attack's faulted. I said it last week. I think Adam Reynolds has probably played a season too long. I love Adam Reynolds. 2 premierships, 2 different clubs. Amazing. I've read his biography recently. Amazing. Love the guy himself, but his body is just not keeping up. Ezra Mam's confidence has been shot lately. Had a good game on the weekend. Obviously gone at 18-10 to the Cowboys. They were right in it to the end. It was now biting game, but Cowboys are a solid top 8 fringe team as well. So that was just one of those games. Could have went either way. And they've just, like I said, they've left their run way too late. It is heartbreaking to see what's happened to Ezra just from everything. I think it's overconfidence now when he scores. Like I think this is too much that's happened off the field for him. And it's just maybe he needs a fresh start. Brendan Piakura in and out, head knocked all season. And you mentioned Corey Jensen. That was a heartbreaking one. He was I would say almost the most underrated player from their finals run last year. Being able to complement Haas and Carrigan and the meters made and all that type of thing. And then if we just go back and to sum it all up, Ben Teo walking out as their defensive coach and Payne Haas signing with the Rabbitohs, mate, those aren't signs of a club that's on their path to success. And if you look back now, it's very obvious in hindsight. But the fact is, they're just fallen apart in 2026. They're done. I don't know how many more positive conferences Madge can give. I think he's pretty much run out of them, right? Like he tried to keep it positive up until this week, but it's going to be a hard narrative to try to spin. They do have an injury depleted Knights this weekend. No Dylan Brown, no Dylan Lucas. So I think they're going to be up there. But I feel like the Broncos are well and truly done, as much as that pains me to say. Because last week I was saying they could win 7 in a row, but it started on the weekend. They had to get that one right in the Queensland Derby.
Absolutely. And like you do have the Knights, which is one of the teams you do need to be failing, which kind of like this, you're saying, oh, last week was the game, 7 from 7. This week is the game, like 100%.
One more week, Mitch. Thank you for giving me hope. One more week.
Like, if you win, obviously you go to 20 points. You'd still be in about 12th or 11th or something like that. But Knights are that bottom sort of 7, 8 with the Cowboys. 26 point, like it gets a bit too hard. And if you can't knock off the Knights without the Dylans, that's probably not a great signal for how things are going. I mean, you mentioned the meters, like you had no Payne Haas for a bit, like that obviously takes stuff out of it, but it's the other guys that were like, I just felt like last year it was like Shibasaki was eating crazy meters. Even like Karapani was like producing like pretty good performances. And then obviously Reece Walsh was doing Reece Walsh things, and the extra boys of like Willison, Piakura, Jordan Ricky. I don't know, that's all kind of, I don't know, with no Payne Haas, it all kind of falls on like Ben Tolte. And like Ben Tolte's great, but he's your cover to a superstar of Payne Haas.
100%.
He's not starting. He's a brilliant player. I don't want to put down Ben Tolte, but he's not, no wonder things aren't working as well as what they were when you had Payne Haas, who will probably be top 2 greatest props of all time.
Agreed.
So yeah, it makes sense. But it's, I think Madge has bought himself a lot of grace, obviously, with that premiership. So I don't think he's in danger, but you guys are going to want to start real good in 27
It's
for
going to be
Madge.
It's going to be crazy. They did it with Kevin Walters and then, making a grand final, sacking the year after. Obviously didn't win it. That's a different story. But I could see Brisbane being pretty ruthless. I mean, what do you do if we get to Origin, beginning of Origin next year, and they're outside the 8 again? Like, it's just going to be like, I can't see it. I mean, his contract is up to the end of 2027, but the story at the moment is that he's going to get re-signed, which I think is absolutely crazy. I had a bit of a rant last week. Like, I don't know how. I get it. They want to shore up stability in the club, but I don't think many players are jumping at the chance to play under Michael Maguire at the moment. Not from all the media, sort of stories and circling that comes out around his methods and the vomit buckets and all that type of thing. I don't think extending Madge does much for the Broncos in terms of stability. I think, in fact, does the opposite at the moment, but that's what they want to do. And he did take them to a premiership, right? You can only judge what's on paper. If they have a year where they bomb out, we'll see what happens next year, but it will be interesting to see what they can attract in the next couple of years.
He's got the, obviously he's losing Payne Haas, but I think Madge got the best out of Mitch Barnett in Origin in 2024? Yeah, 24.
Yeah.
So you've got Barnett coming. Yes, he's 2 years older and what he's going to be 30, he'll be 32 or something like that by the time he comes to you guys. That is a great replacement. It's not a like for like. Payne Haas is Payne Haas, but that certainly helps the blow. The biggest thing for me, I think, will be, where does this Jonah Pezzett puzzle kind of click together?
Yeah.
It hasn't really clicked at the Eels. He's been in and out, to be fair, like with injuries and things. But where does that click? And obviously Ezra's your 6, Pezzett will be your 7, most likely. You've got Tom Duffy in there as well.
And I have liked Tom Duffy, but it's only shown
been
glimpses.
very good.
Yeah.
It's been very good. And in terms of a rugby league story, you want to talk about someone that I think has gone on 1 year too long, is Ben Hunt, especially some of the, and I genuinely do like Ben Hunt, and that was the fairy tale last year. That was the story. That was the redemption. You got the redemption. That was your, I don't know, if I'm an NRL script writer and I'm like, there we go. That's where we end that character.
It doesn't get any better.
It doesn't. You got it, man. And maybe there's something in the back of his head that was like, because he obviously went off. Was it the HIA or whatever with the however long remaining? Whether or not that was
late in the game.
Whether or not that played in his head, that he was like, yeah, I've got the ring, but I didn't get the redemption.
I still wasn't there at the 80 minutes.
Yeah. I don't know if that plays into his head at all.
Yeah.
Probably not. But some of that, one of the passes on the weekend when you guys were making good meters, making good progress against the Cowboys, and he just literally from hooker threw it to a Cowboy.
Yeah, I remember that.
You're like, oh, all right. Okay, well, there goes any chance of that attack. That's nice.
I've seen DC do a similar thing actually for the Roosters this year, where you're just seeing like they've lost just that little edge. Some of the passing's just not where it used to be, whether the game's just, too fast for them at the moment. You're right though, yeah, Ben Hunt, Adam Reynolds could have walked out. They could have done like just a whole reboot of the team, right? Build it around Reece Walsh, blow it up. It feels like very American NBA style, but they definitely could have done that now in hindsight. You say goodbye to 2 legends who've got really good stories. They get the premiership, they get what you need. You've got a young buck in Reece Walsh. You build the team around him and you look towards the future. and you
Yep.
make sure you never let a guy like Payne Haas go. So sliding doors, it's
Yeah.
really just fallen apart. Like they could have got rid of them, tried to really keep Payne Haas. Now it's not going to work out that way. They're going to have to do it with some young halves, and Ezra Mam needs to find that confidence next year because it's not looking too good at the moment. Mate, another club, that's the Broncos. Good luck to them, 6 in a row, fingers crossed. Another club in crisis, mate, the West Tigers, Adam Doueihi. I did make a comment when it happened, but death, taxes, and the Tigers imploding. Mate, that's
Mate.
just you talk about NRL script writing. I mean, this is just like the punching bag for the football, the NRL, right? Like, it doesn't change. We don't even expect these stories, anything but for the Tigers at the moment. There is some positive news because as we've been talking, I have just had a look. Crisis meetings were taking place on Monday. It looks like it was positive, and Doueihi will at least be at training this week because all the stuff over the weekend was that he's out, he's gone, he doesn't want to be there. Benji Marshall, he's off him. It's untenable, the situation there with him and Benji Marshall. Now it looks like he's in. Just a recap of the story, obviously, he got charged last week for a high shot. They went to the judiciary, they fought it. He was named in the reserves, as you do when someone's charged. Ends up getting off, was available to play. Benji Marshall then said, hey, I'm still going to play you off the bench, play you in a lock position, that type of thing. And it's weird because Benji Marshall said to me all year and all the media that goes to his press conferences, he's been our best player all year. And then you put your best player on the bench, or you tell your best player they're not going to play you in your best position. It's a weird call. The flip side, which I'm sure you tell me your opinion, is players should just be team first. We hear that every time mentality, team first, team first, team first. If your coach says you should do it, you should do it. And players love repeating that line to us. Whatever the team needs, I'll do. Doueihi goes against that grain, and people go, mate, you're getting paid $600,000, $700,000, $800,000 a year to be a professional football player. You've got it so easy. You don't just want to change positions. The flip side is, why the hell would Benji Marshall do what he did? Why would the coach do that? It just seems like a really, really bad call. Where do you sit on it?
Well, first of all, I was kind of under the impression that Team First was the moniker at the West Tigers.
Supposed to be.
I have heard that from certain people at the club before. We are Team First, a la
The man himself.
See you later, Lachlan Galvin. But man, I am so. This one has made me fence sit so much because. Yes, 100%. The coach is your boss, and just because it's a sporting team doesn't mean he's not your boss. It doesn't. The same rules don't apply to the real world. Like right now, if my boss asks me to stop doing this with you and come and do have a chat, you're going to have a chat.
You're done.
Sorry, sorry, Dane. We're going to chat. And I know. End of the day, you got to go by the boss's rules. In saying that, after the week that the Tigers / Doueihi and everyone has had, it would be a mad kick in the teeth to Doueihi to be like, no, we're actually still going to play that guy who has no interest in being here. And, we know you're here long term. And yeah, you've been our best player actually, but we're going to play him and play the new kid. And give the new kid a chance, which I'm sure Doueihi had no problem with the Javon Andrews side of it. I think he probably would have been like, yeah, great. He's great. Get the kid a debut. But yeah, I think it's more so the Doueihi side of it. Yeah, I don't know how it ends. And I know I just 2 seconds ago was like, let Nico Hines play half and stop saying he's a lock, blah, blah, blah. Doueihi's a lock. He could be a very good lock. And I know Matty Johns has been waxing lyrical about how Doueihi should be a lock or will be a good lock. And you do say I think he would be a very, very good lock. So it's kind of hard from that side of it too, from Benji's perspective, where you're like, all right, let's try and mathematically, ChatGPT 6 from 6, we can do it. Let's try and do it. Make the finals. Let's give this new kid a run. Let's keep Jerome in there. All right, let's move Adam to lock, and then we got an extra ball player there. I do see the theory, but man, like I said, I've been fence sitting on this since last Tuesday. But I will tell you one thing that has made me laugh about this whole thing is this sounds like I'm going to be really rude. Do you remember when Michael Jackson died?
Yes.
The same day Michael Jackson died, Farrah Fawcett died, like the famous actress. and everybody was like, "Oh, that that's additional news today." Like, I don't want to be rude, but Michael Jackson died. He's the king of pop. He's everything. And twice now this week, PNG have released huge news. One was that they were going to go for Munster, and then yesterday that they were going for Lomax. The other day they're like, we're going for Munster, and then literally at that time, the Doueihi stuff broke, and it was like, hey, shut up about that PNG Munster stuff. We don't care
We
at
don't
all.
care.
We don't care. And then yesterday they're like, hey guys, we signed Lomax, and they're like, that's cool. Doueihi's having a meeting tomorrow morning. We're like, oh, that's so much I feel like they've kind of been PNG have been copying the like Farrah Fawcett news cycle. There's like, hey guys, we've got some news too, and everyone's like, no, we don't care. Adam Doueihi's doing crazy shit at the Tigers again.
Is there a worse gig for an Australian sports fan in history than being a West Tigers fan?
No, there is not.
Mm.
I would argue there was a period there where the Blues, it really sucked. Yes,
I
absolutely.
don't remember that. It was quite good from memory.
No, well, no, because you've got that jersey on, and obviously that's who you support.
I should just
So
put the hat on. They got the Queensland hat as well.
just confuse the hell out of everyone. I don't. Bledisloe Cup time hasn't been very good for quite some time. So as a Wallabies fan, like, I'm not diehard, but I still I obviously want to win. That has sucked, but no, it's the West. Like 2005, they had these amazing players, and then it was kind of like the running joke of, oh, they finished ninth, they're in ninth, that's where they finish, and like there's a little bit of hope. They bring in these world-class players in Luai. They do the whole, oh, we're bringing back people that get the club. Benji's coming in, and then it's just like, I don't know. They started the season well, and then things just implode. Like it's the hope. It's the hope that would kill you
I was
as
going to say, at
a
least
Tigers man.
even in the 8 series, were won by Queensland very memorably, there were still chances there, right? They were close games. There were field
Yeah.
goals. There were last-minute
Yep.
moments. Like, you had 8 years in it. People forget, like, was there one clean sweep in that entire 8?
One. Yeah.
There's one, right? And there was still a bunch of deciders. And every year, even as a Queenslander, you still weren't like it's a lock. Like, there was still
Yeah.
competitive game. New South Wales still had an amazing team through that period. But it's like the Tigers had hope for the first month of this season, and then it just gets taken away. You just know that it's coming. Like, you couldn't actually believe. I remember the headlines too, and I was guilty for probably even saying on the podcast, the Tigers back. And we all sort of bought into that mentality a little bit at the beginning of the season. How foolish we were, Mitch. We should have known better. We've seen this story before. It's
Mate,
crazy.
if I go back through some of my like rundowns that I put together for the run home for Joel and Fletch, if I go back through some of those rundowns, I guarantee you there's like whole segments that are like real deal, like
They're
get
back.
excited, Tigers fans. Leichhardt's pumping, the Hills going nuts. Like, this is it. Benji's the master. Or like, there would be so many segments of that where it's just like, this is it. This is it. Like, are you ending this? Are we putting behind the bad juju of the West Tigers? Is this new frontier? And then it's like, nah, no, it's not. Not at all.
Watch this space. I mean, I just saw a quote. CEO Sean Millercamp said it was a very positive and productive meeting. Adam will be at training now, which is a very good sign. And what's really important is that what is said in that room stays in that room. Good luck to that. That's important for us at a club. We're doing what's best for the club. As we know, Mitch, that's exactly the opposite of what's happened, because what gets said behind those walls at Tigers Town gets said on NRL 360, Daily Telegraph, SEN. It goes everywhere. That never stays behind closed doors.
Never. One person will say something to one person, and then it's the it's the Tigers, man. Like, people, people will be going out there doing media for it and going, give me one little thing that I can run with, and then it'll be on Vossi, it'll be on it'll be on Joel and Fletch this afternoon. It'll be, you go, oh, Millercamp said everything's fine, but then, Adam Doueihi didn't train for the rest of and you go, oh, there's something in that, and then we'll spend 2 hours talking about that.
Jeez, mate, if what is said in that room stays in that room, now that is going to come back to bite him. I can't wait. Mitch, and you've mentioned it before. I do just want to touch on Cameron Munster. You talked about it, Papua New Guinea. They're obviously making moves. They did sign Zach Lomax on a 3-year deal, the 5th player to sign on for the new franchise. And then that comes off the back of Queensland captain Cameron Munster being granted permission by the Melbourne Storm to discuss a deal for 2028. Melbourne still want to keep him, but they're being realistic and I think paying him back, which is a nice thing. I was pretty shocked to see that news that could be a potential. Obviously, Craig Bellamy's future is up in the air in Melbourne as well, dealing with his health issues. For Cam Munster to go, I mean, that would just be a massive, massive coup. We see what's happened with Perth, where I think they've just got Junior Barlow. Good on them. That's great. But no one really cares about that squad. PNG is still 2 years away, and everyone cares about that team because it's shaping up as a bit of a super team, mate. I've even put a 13 together. But what have you just made of this last week of signing news? Obviously, Lomax is a big one. He's done very well at State of Origin Arena as one of the best wingers, or I don't know, he wants to be centre, whatever he wants to be, but he's definitely been up there outside backs on his day.
Yep.
Big signing for them, and then potentially Cam Munster to join him.
Mate, it's good. It is good. The Lomax signing is, I think, also in terms of like the comparisons to Perth and stuff, like even just the subtlety, the posts that they've been doing where they've been adding the names to the stairs.
Yeah, it's cool.
And
it's really cool.
You're like, that's real. Like, it's engaging stuff. Like Perth just kind of being like, oh, we signed Chris Vilea, and you're like, okay, all right, cool. That's fair enough. Whatever. But like PNG's like, we're building. It's like, it's stepping stones. It's the script writer, man. Like you've got to get, you've got to get people engaged. The super team, they are like, obviously they have the money to do so. And, there's a bit of a rumor around that it's like that they're just kind of treating this, like, although their players are older and by the time they come in, like Johnson will be 33, Connor Watson will be over 30. Luai would be close to 30. Cam Munster obviously over 30 if that comes off. But it's a smash and grab. Like, they're going to try and win something in the first 2-3 years, solidify that club, like, really kind of cement it as part of the league and the history. And they need to make a big statement.
Hit the ground running.
We've, constant chatter about the money going into it and the safety and the this and the that. They need to make a big statement on the field, and that's probably what they're going to do. Luai potentially signing Munster. Obviously, if you have the chance to sign Cam Munster, you sign Cam Munster. It didn't make a great deal of sense to me, considering they've already signed Luai.
Yeah.
When I think we've seen that 7 really isn't Luai's position. If you're looking at moving him to 7 to accommodate Munster, then people are saying, oh, but Munster could play 1. And you're like, he could have played 1 in 2015.
Yeah,
like,
reverse Darren Lockyer. I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think it's Benjamin Button. We're going backwards, going back the other way. And in 30 years, when we're talking about when Cam Munster went the reverse, great, but we won't be.
Led them to a premiership in their inaugural season.
Yeah, imagine. And NRL scriptwriter, hell yeah, I love that. That's so good. Like, if the Sharks aren't going to win, that's what I want to happen. Like, that's the cool story to me.
As a punter, as a fan.
Yeah, as someone that works in the media who would just absolutely, I don't want to say I hang around Fletch too much, and Fletch says froth all the time. But I would froth the idea of PNG winning in their first year. That is a cool story.
It would be cool. The only country in the world where it's rugby league's the national sport. They pull it all together. I mean, just for what it would do for the community. Jerome Luai spoke a lot about that when he signed. The community of PNG, right? What a feel-good story for a country that's always had to deal with a lot of issues.
That's it. Even the Lomax stuff yesterday. Like, you see the footage of the little boy like coming up to the bus and being like, Zach, this is your home now. And you're like, damn, that's cool. Like, that's awesome. They like really get around it. And obviously everyone, that plays in those PM's 13 games talks about how crazy it is. And they will, it will be a spectacle. Like that 2028 season is going to be massive for in terms of storyline stuff and like cool stuff we're going to see. It's like Vegas-y sort of, storyline wise, where you're like, this is so cool that we're expanding like this. But yeah, I think there is a lot of question marks about that team. They are getting a little bit older, but I think because it is going to be an intent smash and grab, let's just try and win a prem real quick so that we can shut down the haters almost. Um, yeah, that'd be. I would be concerned if they were thinking it was a long-term project and then signing Cam Munster at 33 in 2 years' time or however long it is.
Very true.
Um, yeah,
I'll give you my team, which makes no sense. It's
please.
not really made by salary cap, and it's just got some lower grade players thrown in. But these are players that they could sign, right, just for their 13 for 2028. Hamiso, Tabuai Fido at fullback. They've got Alex Johnson on a wing, Joey Manu and Zach Lomax in the centres, Brian To'o off contract, Munster and Luai in the halves, Matty Lees, they've already signed, Connor Watson
Mhm.
as well, Moses Leota, they could grab. Cooper Bai, he's PNG. Ryan Madison is just floating out there. I just thought you got to put one cheapie in there. And Isaiah Yeo at lock. So those are all players that would be, I thought, realistic that they could get. Not all at the same time, but those are
Mhm.
types of caliber players that they could potentially squeeze into this side. Just marquees straight off the bat. I mean,
Yeah.
and even if they just get Munster and Luai, I mean, it's already a success, right? And you compare it to Perth, which has been struggling, which they've had to get help. Hindsight, they've had to change things to try and give them help.
Mhm.
And nothing but the most diehard of Bears fans and I guess a splattering of Perth people are excited about, right?
Yeah, like I I kind of I alluded to at the start of the chat, like my mum went for North Sydney Bears. Like I grew up kind of following the Bears, having a bit of a soft spot for the Bears. And even I'm still like, oh, okay, all right, Perth Bears, fair enough. Like that'll be, I don't know, I'm obviously way too indoctrinated in the Cronulla side now, but yeah, I don't know. There's no hype. And I don't know. It's kind of, it feels like everything that we've kind of heard out of the Bears is an older generation sort of thing, where it's like PNG have gone hard after Willie Peters, like a next gen coach. Like
Mm.
someone that he's proved himself in Super League, definitely, but like he's going to be around for a long time. It's like as soon as they sign Mao, you're like, Mao's not doing this for long term. Like Mao's going to do 2 years and help. Like, and Benny Gardner will be a really good assistant coach, I think, and
Mm.
then will probably take over as head coach. Let's face facts. Um, but yeah, I don't know. It's nothing has grabbed me so far with Perth, which has kind of been the sad, the sad thing of it all, where it's like there's no massive name. I don't care about how it's received. Whereas like PNG, you're like, look at how cool. Like that's a movement almost. I mean, I hate to use such a sort of cliche over the top, like it's a movement, man. But like that's a huge thing as opposed to like, oh yeah, we're just kind of putting a team like we have Origin over there every now and then, and we take some games to HCF Park or whatever. It's like, do they sell out? Nah, people don't really care. All right,
Mate,
well,
Perth, could you imagine too? Like they would just kill to have a Luai or a Munster. I mean, even someone like a Lomax, really, like to have
yeah,
a name as big as that just to get into that team, and not to mention the rumors that Mal Meninga won't even be there come the start of the season. That won't
exactly.
die, right? Like they just keep going. That's crazy to think. Their inaugural coach and the whisperings behind everywhere that's filtered out through the media is that he may not even be up to the job come round one when they start. It's supposed to be the
That's it.
big face.
And they've
It's
already
crazy.
lost was it football director or technical director? They've already lost
Yeah.
someone of that
And he was
ilk.
Mal Meninga's, like, buddy, right? Or they were supposed to be allies, and so it's
Yeah,
already falling apart before a ball's even kicked.
that's it. And
Crazy.
as soon as you, if I'm Perth, because obviously they've been given that, is it the 500k allowance on top of like they've been given a little sweetener, like have an extra 500k. Um, the second that Cam Munster is open to going to PNG story came out, that's where you have to move and go, all right, everything that we can do to get him over here. He's obviously open to, and I think that was part of the deal though, was that it was only for PNG.
Yeah.
Like Melbourne Storm only allowed it to be for PNG. Um, but still, there's got to be some sort of conversation of just like, we have this extra 500,000 on top of whatever we were going to pay you. Get him over there, like make some moves. He's obviously open to leaving the Storm. Like he's like realistically, so that's not a worry anymore. That's where you should have been making the big move.
I-
Or maybe even looking at Luai. Who knows where he's going?
Well, I think that's true. Imagine that for a year. I'd just go to
I know.
both foundations. Why not?
They go back-to-back expansion clubs. Imagine
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
2027 Perth and then 2028 PNG. You're like,
And you know where
okay.
that could happen? The NRL. That's as you mentioned before.
That's
Talked a lot
what.
about script writers a lot. If there's any sport that could have happened, good on the Parramatta Eels. But it would have been funny. It would have been very rugby league if that was the case. Mitch, finally, I just want to get to a little good or bad for fans, mate. I'll throw out a few little topics. You just tell me whether you think it is good or bad for fans. You witnessed this on the weekend. It started so well, mate. But is Fosball now dead?
I think it's teetering. I think it's real close. Like obviously there was the huge run, and everybody wanted it to work. It's that whole, because Foz is so close, like he's not far removed from the game, and everybody loved him, and um, there was always such a good. He's the best looking coach in the league, and everyone kind of got around this like Fozball mania. Um, I think it's probably like they're 4 points out, 4 points out the eight. So it's not, you know, if you're if we're sitting here talking about your mathematical chances at however far back, then
Wishful
yeah, we can
thinking.
still talk about Manly's chances, but I don't know. They don't seem to be clicking. And I don't know. Did they? Was Luke Brooks doing a lot more than what we thought? That's that seems
Mate,
to be one of the, like, whether he was this calming sort of control presence that we didn't realize he had. Um, and just the in and out of Turbo. Like when Turbo was out before, like they brought in Falolo and he was really good, but he's obviously been injured for a little bit. So he hasn't had the same sort of haven't had the same sort of cover in Turbo that they've had previously.
mm,
Um, yeah, I don't know. The Luke Brooks thing is interesting to me. Yeah, was
you
he
are right.
doing was he doing more than what we thought?
Finally, for
Yeah,
Tigers fans.
yeah.
Um,
Shout out
and
Tigers
now,
fans, of course.
and the Knights, mate, injury nightmare, very hard. Is their final size? I was saying here they could have been a dark horse, and if they were full
Yeah.
strength on their day, but now we've heard the news: Dylan Brown, Dylan Lucas mentioned out for the season. Is that the end of their title hopes?
Uh, I think it's the end of their title hopes. I don't think it's the end of their top eight. Um, they still have very good cover in Fletcher Sharp, Sandon Smith. Um, God forbid something happens to either of those guys. I don't even know who would come in at that point. You'd probably, I don't know, if Phoenix Crossland's fit, you look at moving him into the halves and then run another nine. I don't know, but yeah, I think their title hopes are probably done, and it pains me to say it. Like I'm a Central Coast boy, so I do have a soft spot for the Knights. I always liked the Knights, and I like when they're doing well. But yeah, possibly a bridge too far, with the Dylans being out. That's too much. That's too much control from like Dylan Brown, like too much organization, and it's also uh crazy sort of what Dylan Lucas brings to the Knights is huge. So that's, yeah, massive loss.
It's been incredible. Dylan Brown just about the buy of the season too, mate. And finally, the Bulldogs, mate. We know how passionate their fans. Are they back? They've only conceded 6 points in 2 weeks. Beat New Zealand 18-6. Are the Bulldogs back, baby?
That's a statement. That's definitely a statement. Beating the Warriors. Just do it Just do it. I don't know. Do it consistently. Like you said, it was
Mm.
2 in a row. Like just do it. Just do it more, and stop chopping and. Oh, I was gonna say stop chopping and changing, but they've had a few ins and outs with injuries and stuff. But I think that's kind of been the biggest slight on the Bulldogs, is that when things weren't going well, there was no chopping and changing. they would just run the same squad out again, and you're like, okay, all right, well, that's what we're going with. All right, well, let's hope that this is different. And then they lose again, and you go, oh, it wasn't different. Okay, all right. Like, so, are they back? I don't think so. I don't think they're back. But yeah, they're not. They're coming good. They're coming good. They're not fully like I wouldn't expect to see them, like that Panthers Bulldogs game, like in the finals last year. Like I wouldn't expect to see them sort of recreating a game like that. I don't see them going deep in finals.
I think they're lucky the Tigers are in because it does take away from some of the crazier decisions they've made in the last 12 months too. But we'll see how they go. Mitch, thank you very much for joining us, mate. It has been a pleasure. Good luck to your Sharkies. They're obviously going to do a lot better than my Broncos. Not good luck to New South Wales because, like you said, you'll never catch me dead in this jersey again, even though this is going to be on the internet and in existence forever. Shit.
That's it. Well, that's you are a corporate. You are a corporate shrill who will wear anything for money.
That is true.
It would seem.
Please find my email on season ticket holders, and if you do want to sponsor me out there, I do sell my body for sponsorship dollars. So please keep that in mind. Find us on social media. Give us a like and follow on Spotify and Apple too while you're at it, and I'll take whatever you can. Mitch, thank you very much for joining us on season ticket holders.
Thanks for having me, Dane. Appreciate it, man. And yeah, look, for your sake, I do hope Bronx go on a run. It's the script writer, man. It's the storylines. It would be great, but I don't see it happening. But yeah, thanks for having me, man. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, mate. Do a great job. Check him out and all the great stuff you do. Catch up for some of those comedy shows as well. And he just heard it here. 6 in a row. It's done. ChatGPT got it right. We're going all the way, baby. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening to us. Take care. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.